Hello. This is a story about me when I was about 28 or 29 years old. At the time, I was the father of two, had been married to my high school sweetheart for about 7 or 8 years. And the situation arose one night. I was sitting at home with two children in bed, nestled in bed, nice and quiet, probably watching TV, hanging out while my wife was at work. She worked over near Henderson High School. It's a little industrial area, you know, a little office, kind of shady. So, you know, she would go in at night to do the books and work, and, you know, coming and going, always worried, both of us, you know, late at night by herself, 28 years old, a female. You know, so things start to run through your mind, you start to worry. She got a cell phone, and back then, you know, the cell phones were, you know, I don't know, this big. The batteries were, you know, enormous. She would call me before she would leave work. Her car was probably parked 8 feet from the door. So, you know, if somebody really was going to get her, they literally had to be standing at the bushes waiting for her to come out. She had to turn around, lock the door. So she would call me on the cell phone. I'd be sitting at home on the sofa like a slouch, laying there with kids in bed, and I'm supposed to be the big guy, protect my wife, and she would call me on the phone and demand that I be on the phone with her while she's walking out to her car, locking the door. And now, I don't know about you, but if a guy's gonna mug you and you have a phone, he's not gonna say, oh, you're on the phone, I don't wanna interrupt you. It's just not he doesn't really care. So she calls me up, I'm on the phone with her, I'm sitting there at home, and I don't even think we had call waiting then. And she goes, I'm gonna walk out to my car, just so I want you on the phone with me. And she goes out, she proceeds to lock the door. Well, as she goes to lock the door and she's squeezing the phone falls out, and I'm sitting on the sofa in my pajamas, and I hear, ah! And then it's dead silence. And I'm thinking, she's dead, it's over. You know, my kids, how do I tell them? Several things run through your mind. And I thought, I'll call her back. I dial the phone, and it goes right to voicemail. And I'm thinking, all right, if I call 911 and I tell them this story, it's gonna be 5-10 minutes just to get there. It's just, I'm really thinking to myself, it's over. Several things go through your mind, and I start to think, how am I gonna tell her parents? I start, you know, you start wondering. Then you start wondering, how am I telling my kids and this? Finally, I realized, you know, after trying to call her, she calls back. Finally, she's in the car. She says, I dropped the phone, and when it hit the ground, the battery rolled under, went under the bushes. I had to get it out. And I'm thinking, you know, I said, what am I supposed to do when this happens? Am I supposed to call 911? How do I explain it? And I'm sitting there on the phone. She's like, I'll be home in 5 minutes and this. You know, I started thinking all the things that I should have done. I guess I should have just called 911. And then I realized I should have called 911 because here I'm on the phone with her the whole time. Everything else, I'm thinking, they're gonna suspect me. It's always the husband. He has something to do with it. I'm thinking maybe it's a godsend to be on the phone with her because that is my alibi. They can't pin it on me if I'm at home. I have kids in bed. I'll be off scot-free. So that's, you know, your heart rips open for that 60 seconds and you think it's over, but, you know, in reality, everything was okay.